Hello again, it's time for a new lesson, chapter 1.8, relate multiplication to division. Okay, so this one's kind of tough. We have to use the inverse operation, which I'll explain. That's what we've been doing when we notice that multiplication and division are back and forth, they're backwards from each other. They are inverse operations. For instance, 15 divided by 3 is the same, let's see, 15 divided by 3 is 5. The inverse operation could be 5 times 3 equals 15, or 3 times 5 equals 15. There's also one more division where we have 15 divided by 5 equals 3. So we have basically these four ways to do it. 2 with division and 2 with multiplication. These two in the middle are the multiplication. Okay, so that's just a quick insight into inverse operation. Now a quick review on the distributive property. That's going to be what we're using today. We're going to use it to do division, and it's a little strange. I'm kind of excited about it because I haven't done it before. It's a new way for me to think about things. Review the distributive property. We notice that sometimes there are numbers we don't want to do. Maybe a little hard to multiply in our head. 3 times 42. We might be able to change this problem to something like 3 times 40 plus 2. And then we noticed, if you remember, that we found that we could multiply 3 times 40 and then add 3 times 2. 3 times 40, 3 times 4 is 12, so 3 times 40 is 120, plus 3 times 2, that's not 12, is 6, and 120 plus 6 is equal to 126. That's kind of the quick review. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try to make that into, we're going to try to turn that upside down and do it backwards. We're going to start with something relatively easy, something like 60 divided by 4. We're going to notice the inverse operation of that. 60 divided by 4, let me actually go back to my green. 60 divided by 4 equals blank. Now a lot of you guys could figure that out in your head. It's not important right now because we're trying to learn how to do the inverse operation, which is 4 times blank equals 60. And the question is, how do we change this multiplication problem into the distributive property? Well, we're going to just find an addition problem that makes 60, something that we can do that works with 4. Well, what does 4 go into? 4 goes into some nice numbers like 24, but it goes into some great numbers like 40. And if we add 40 plus 20, we get 60. And if we multiply to get 40 by 4, this is kind of the trick. This is sort of how to get it. 40 plus 20 equals 60. We have to remember that we're multiplying by 4. So using the distributive property, how would I get 40 multiplying by 4? Well, 4 times 10 is 40. Plus, and how would I get 20 multiplying by 4? 4 times 5. So I know that 4 times 10 is 40, plus 4 times 5 is 20, equals 60. Okay, so I've just changed my division problem around into a multiplication problem. If I change to blue here real quick, if I take this out, pull the 4's out, it's going to be 4 times 10 plus 5. And 4 plus 10 plus 5 is the same, 4 times 10 plus 5 is the same as 4 times 15. And if this is equal to 60, then this is also equal to 60. I know that went kind of quickly. We'll try one more just to show you, and maybe we'll show you the distributive property one more time in forward momentum. For instance, if I have 6 times 34, I might not want to do that, but I might be able to change it to 6 times 30 plus 4, something I can easily do in my head. Here's the tricky part. 6 times 30, that's 6 times this first one, plus, bring down the addition, 6 times the second one, 6 times 4, should be my answer. So this, 6 times 34 is the same as 6 times 30 plus 4. It's the same as 6 times 30 plus 6 times 4. 6 times 30 is 180 plus 24 equals 204. Kind of neat. Now backwards would be 204 divided by, whoops, divided by 6. Okay, let's change our color again. 204 divided by 6 equals something. So 6 times something equals 204. Well, how do I make 204? This is going to be a little harder. What does 60 go into? Well, it doesn't go into 200, not evenly. It does go into 204 evenly, but it's not something that we can obviously see. So what if we just do 60? All right, well that's not 200. But 60 plus 60 plus 60, that's 180, plus 24 would equal the rest of the way up to 204. 60 plus 60 is 120, plus 60 is 180, plus 24 is 204. So this is equal to 204. And we're going to do some magic and turn it into our distributive property. 6 to 60 is 6 times 10, plus 6 times 10, plus 6 times 10. And 24 is 6 times 4. And that's equal to 204. Now, if I break it all out, at 6 times 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 4. 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 4. And 10 plus 10 plus 10 is 30 plus 4 is equal to 6 times 34, which means if 6 times 34 is equal to 204, then 204 divided by 6 is 34. This is a lot of extra work to do a division problem. The old traditional ways where you would just go 6 into 204. Okay, 6 goes into 2? No, it doesn't. 6 goes into 20? Yes. 3 times. 3 times 6 is 18. 20 take away 18 is 2. Bring down the 4. 6 goes into 24. 4 times. 34. This matches this. Now, this may be a simpler way, but this is not as logical. It's not as fun. And it's not what we're learning about right now, although we probably will do so. And this is something you've seen before, but we're trying to hit an understanding of the distributive property. And we're trying to understand place value. And this will help us understand that this is complicated. This lesson is hard. Ask your mom and dad for help. Come to school, ask me for help. We'll work it out. Look at this video 2 or 3 times until you understand all the complicated things I've jumped in. Do not have a frowny face. Have a happy face.